Hello, I'm Simon. Welcome to my workshop. At Hotton Hills, of having converted my old benchtop bandsaw into a fret saw, I've got the unboxing and assembly of my new bandsaw. Let's get tinkering.
This is a heavy box, 140 kilograms fully loaded. That's about 308 pound or 22 stone, so over double my weight. I've removed the cast iron bed and a polystyrene top and can see additional boxes inside the main box that I can remove. This should make it a little lighter. I've managed to get the dolly I use for 8x4 sheets underneath the box. It's not ideal and doesn't want to go exactly where I want it, but it is progress towards the workshop.
This bandsaw has been on my wish list since I retired, so I decided to take the plunge. I dipped into my children's inheritance and bought it. This is the top of the line Sabre-350 14-inch bandsaw. Everything comes in this one box on a pallet, but it is very heavy. In order to even move the box, I had to open it first on the driveway and remove some of the heavier parts. I removed this bar. It's steel. I'd assumed it was a steel pipe, but it's not. It's solid steel, possibly stainless steel, I'm not sure, but it is very heavy, as is the cast iron bed. Removing those two things and this box here, which was inside as well, that's the cabinet that the bandsaw sits on. So removing those things lightened it enough for me to move the bandsaw. The saw came with 3 manuals, so if you want to teach yourself German or French whilst you're installing your bandsaw, then you'll have the opportunity. The actual bandsaw looks like it's fully assembled already. I've just got to work out how to take it out of the box. So the first thing I'm going to do is consult the manual just to see if it expects you to put the cabinet on the bottom first before you lift it up, or if you're supposed to lift it onto the cabinet. We'll see what they say. The saw comes with a 5-year guarantee, and it's quite reassuring that UK manufacturers have enough confidence in their products to offer such a long guarantee. Hopefully I'll never need to use it.
So I set to work reading the manual and unboxing the storage cabinet. This is made from 1.6mm steel panels and is very sturdy. It's probably 1.5mm steel sheet, the extra 0.1 coming from the paint. The manual is pretty good but suffers from being in black and white, and each panel looks exactly the same in the manual. But nevertheless, I managed to assemble it correctly. I'm using my own tools, but the box actually includes all the tools you need, which is a nice touch. All the nuts are welded to the panel, so you just have to screw the bolts in, which makes assembly a little less fiddly. These beams were a bit fiddly. Rather than holes to put the bolts through, you put the bolt in first and slide these in place. But I found that as I tightened the bolts, the part kept moving. This is why you see me using the mallet to persuade the part to stay in the right place as I tightened it. I suspect Record did this to make it easier to assemble, but I think I'd rather have the reassurance of a hole and knowing that the part couldn't slip, even if it would make assembly more difficult. And I had the same problem with the slots on this side panel. By the way, what do you think of the colour? I think the Record Power green is gorgeous. I like the Axminster red, but this green is just lovely. It's nice they included a shelf. It isn't totally necessary. There are quite a few things like this that make the saw feel like the designer really loved it. Keep watching and I'll point the other nice touches out as we progress.
Well, that was relatively easy. My only comment would be a lot of the panels use slots rather than holes, which makes them easier to line up with the bolts that are already in, but it means that as you tighten the bolts, they tended to slip around a little bit. And I had a little bit of difficulty keeping them in the same place while I tightened the bolts. But other than that, it's relatively straightforward to assemble a cabinet. There's no way I can move this on my own, so I'm going to just cut the end of the box so I can gain access to the base of the saw and see if I can put the cabinet on with it still sitting in its polystyrene transport box. Well, that seems to have worked. I am of course just putting off the inevitable, but I do have it now chocked up on a piece of wood like the instructions say, so I should now be able to fit the base to the bandsaw.
Fitting the base is easy, but the saw is heavy and the base is heavy, and they have to be lined up. Thankfully my youngest son helps me. He has a vested interest. He makes electric guitars and I'm currently in his way. Together we lift the saw onto its base. There's still quite a bit to do. First I get a helping hand to put the cast iron bed onto the cast iron trunnions. Now I can square the bed to the blade. This rod is the guide rail for the fence. It's engraved with inch and millimetre scales. Again, a nice touch. It's a relatively simple job to line up the rods so that it's parallel with the bed, but not something you want to be doing regularly. The fence fits to this cast iron part. This is one of those small details that make the saw so nice. Aligning the fence to the mitre slots is very easy. You simply turn the knob. The fence just slides on. It's made from extruded aluminium and is significantly sturdier and heavier than the one that came with the table saw. The saw has two different speeds and this knob is used to tension the drive belt when changing speeds. You need to be careful not to poke your eye out on the fence bar. This knob moves the blade guard up and down. There is a knob at the back which locks the blade guard in place if you need to. Here are some of those other nice touches. This is a bolt to hang the supplied push stick to. None of the blade guides need tools to adjust, but they even included a holder for all the Allen keys, just in case you need them. This is a nice touch. I prefer to keep the tools with the machine, but very few manufacturers provide such neat storage. And having adjusted the blade guides, here's a test cut. It's 0.5 mm thick cut across a piece of 3x2. I took it slowly as my first ever cut, but there was barely any resistance and the saw is so quiet. So that's cut this piece at just over 0.5 mm. I daren't put the fence any closer for fear of it hitting the saw, but that is a very, very thin sliver of wood.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please leave a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see me make more than thin slivers of wood with this bandsaw, then please subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
If you like this video, why not subscribe by clicking my logo? It's free, and YouTube will add some of my videos to your feed. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.